Welcome everyone to the second episode of the Fellowship of Fandoms podcast. We are covering House of the Dragon for a second week in a row because the second episode is out. And yeah, there's definitely some cool things to talk about. So just before we go into the episode, I have Shiv with me. Good evening. How are you? Excited for this one?
Very excited, very excited. This one was a lot of fun. It was like getting 2 finales in a row.
Yeah, basically. Also, side note, in case the tone of this episode of ours is off, it's because it's almost 2 a.m. where I'm at while we're recording this, because HBO puts this at the worst possible time for Europe, or not at the worst possible time for Europe, like it is a TV show after all. But still, I feel like this is something that should maybe be brought up as a little meta comment on, like, it's like not within the show, but it's on the outside of the whole thing. And it's an interesting choice by HBO. I guess this is the prime slot that they have for US. And, I respect that. But if they moved it 5 hours earlier, they could literally have Europe tuning in directly to watch something like this. And it does make our life, and again, in as much as you can do this when you're just recording a podcast with a friend and talking about nerdy stuff, it does make our life hard when it comes to recording this, because I have to do it at 2 a.m. because
I think what you're
I'm
trying
in
to
Europe
say
and
is
Shiv is on the other side of the Atlantic. And yeah, what am I trying to say? Because I'm not sure what I'm trying to say.
I think you're trying to say is HBO, please give us screeners so we can figure out better times to record.
That is actually what I'm trying to say. So this time next year, or in 2 years, or whenever is the next season, we are getting screeners. Hopefully for Night of the Seven Kingdoms maybe next year, because then that would be so much better. But yeah, anyway, it's an interesting thing about HBO. It is an interesting choice given the fact that I guess this is like a legacy time slot, and the fact that they keep at it. Again, I respect this, but in the era of streaming and so on, like a lot of Europe, like there are so many people who would tune in for this if it was not at 3 a.m. Sunday on Monday night,
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And here we are. And it's going to be a fun episode because we're going to probably be slightly unhinged. At least myself, but I think you're not far off too after a crazy busy day at work. But yeah, let's just go right into it. So we have a couple storylines here. We're going to go storyline by storyline. There are a couple of shorter ones, and then there's the big one. We're going to build up to that, to the title of the episode, Queen's Landing. So we go to Harrenhal. Aemond arrives to Harrenhal and basically does the same entrance, almost shot for shot. Obviously, creators like to do these things where they parallel, but basically that's exactly what Aemond did when he arrived here in the previous season. He arrives with his dragon, burns some of the people. I mean, his armor is... If somebody's just listening to this, we're looking at Aemond's absolutely amazing suit of armor. Anyway, he gets in, he opens the doors with his sword, ready to jump on anybody attacking him, and that's basically the same movement that Daemon did in the previous season. Long story short, he takes over. He has burnt the garrison that Daemon left behind him, and he kills Sir Simon Strong, I believe, yes. And I think at least one more person, and then ends up getting wounded, is bleeding on the floor, and asks for help from Alice Rivers, the witch lady of Harrenhal. Yeah, brief thoughts on thoughts on this, because it's not like it's like one or two scenes, nothing crazy, nothing super insanely epic or complex happens here, but yeah. So one point is the show, and also this is from the story itself. Daemon and Aemond are kind of like parallels. They're just like the same type of person, but like in 2 generations, like one generation after the other, and even their names are so similar. They basically have all the same letters. I think they're just like arranged differently. And then yeah, he comes in and he kills Sir Simon Strong, or Lord Simon Strong. So yeah, thoughts on this opening?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the echoes of Daemon and Aemond, because this scene felt very familiar. Well, here we go again, going to Harrenhal, and Simon Strong's gonna talk his way out of getting murdered, and a part of me hoped that happened, but
Same.
of course it didn't work out, and I feel like standard Game of Thrones fashion, this is kind of what we were expecting, unfortunately. I liked him as a character. The actor is great and unfortunate, but you know, he didn't get off unscathed because, like you said, he was crawling on the ground, bleeding out, and walking towards the arms of a witch. Look
Which,
at that. Which leads to, you know, a compromising position because who knows how she'll corrupt him. You think of like the Red Lady and everything she did in Game of Thrones, like who knows? And isn't she talking to Damon as well? So
yeah.
yeah, like there's a little bit of that going on as well with this, and who knows who she's rooting for and wants to succeed. Maybe she wants none of them to succeed. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you have a inkling of her allegiance in this?
Well, I think there is an interesting thing there where she did ask Daemon to talk to Rhaenyra and give her Harrenhal because she cares about this place. And he told her, "No, I don't think we're going to do that. We don't have a tendency to to give these to the lowborn people like you. You're not married to a lord. You're not a queen yourself. You don't have any power, whatever." So I think that this is going to. I'm not sure how this relates because both of us we didn't read these books, and also the show is doing its own thing, kind of. But I do think that this is the point where she will get some kind of promise from Aemond that Daemon didn't want to make. So I think this is where like the furthering of the conflict will come in this storyline. I think she might turn into an ally for Aemond against Daemon, but that's just a theory, kind of, for now. But yeah.
Kind of in the same boat there. I feel like, at least internally, I'm rooting for Damon because, you know, the Aemon character doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities right now.
Not that Daemon has, but Aemon has more
Yeah,
unredeeming ones, I guess.
exactly. That's a better way to put it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget the Daemon bashed his wife's upper regions. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but he unalived his wife just so he can marry his niece. So, you know, it's Targaryens. It's all equally terrible. Yeah, it's just who is lower? That's the question. They're just all like going into the negatives, you know, and then it's like just who is like closer to the zero. That's basically the situation. Yeah. But anyway, this is setting up stuff that is yet to come. But we can move to the next little plotline. We are seeing the aftermath of the episode, of the previous episode of the battle of the Gullet. Adam and Alan were looking for Corlys and they save him. And well, we see an interesting shot. We see Corlys sitting on a rock looking at away at his home because he can see it from there as it burns. And yeah, he kind of is dealing with the fact that his home seemed to have been sacked and he doesn't know what he's going to find there at this point. And he says that, you know, he's been, so the thing with him is he has spent his whole life, he's this epic level adventurer. He's done so many things. They literally want to make a spin-off about him, or I don't know if that's still trying to, but they were considering it. And now he has, you know, lost a lot of things. He lost his wife. I think he lost all of his legitimate children at this point. His home has been sacked. This battle was very costly. They won it, but it was very costly. And he's told that, yeah, well, at least we won. He says, and this is a quote from the books, I believe, "If this be victory, I pray I never win another." Or I think this is the quote from the
Yep.
books. I think he says something slightly different, but it is a very good way to put how he's feeling. But he does say that at this point, he doesn't have anything else to offer to Adam and to Alan except his name. And Adam says that that is still that's the only thing he wants. So it's a nice moment to kind of counteract the previous storyline, I guess. I don't know if there's much to say here, but you know, there's always some kind of impression. So what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I like how you mentioned the quote that he gave that was in the book. One thing with that line that's interesting to me is like that writing reminds me similarly to the sort of lines we get. Here's a tangent into Lord of the Rings with King Theoden. I feel like he had the same kind of gravitas with like it's almost like a little bit of poetry with the words he says, and it was reminiscent of that to me. But there was another great line in this scene too with it's Alan, right? He was talking about so Corlys was like, "I can only give you my name," and I think he said something along the lines of like, "That's worth more than a lot of gold." Did you remember that? And
Well,
yeah,
I it's it's almost 2 a.m. So I probably it's probably somewhere in the storage in my brain, but I'm not. It's not coming up on the search function. So I'll just believe you.
syntax error. Yeah, so I believe that's what he said, or that's how I interpreted it, and I thought that was another powerful thing of like, okay, like he's getting accepted now into the family officially. That's a nice thing to see. So yeah, like it was a shorter scene, but I kind of liked it. While we're here, I guess I could bring up. I'm assuming this is the dragon scenes. There's a couple of small notes I had in my head as the episode was going on. The CGI at the beginning of this episode had some really amazing parts. There was one scene that looked kind of cheesy. I couldn't really pinpoint it. It was just like a shot where the dragon started fire against some kind of small army. It kind of looked a little off, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the positives here. The shots of the dragons coming through the fog and smoke looked like super realistic. There's another tangent that I'll just make briefly because I'm not sure if we're going to talk about it or not. There was actually a shot with this scene as well when she's riding the horse through this archway. And for just how it was shot looked like, I don't know, it kind of caught my eye. I was like, oh, that looks like really pretty. Like I don't know what techniques they used for it, but that was another shot that stuck out to me of like, wow, this is looking good. So I don't know if that's related to any of like the production planning between season 2 and 3 where it seems like the rumor is episode 1 was actually considered part of the previous season and maybe this one was too or mix of both.
Yeah.
So seems like there's different kind of planning on this and I wanted to before this episode. I didn't have time, but I wanted to see specifically who was involved in the cinematography for this cuz I feel like there was a little splash of razzmatazz or something in it. It just seemed a little bit extra this episode. So kudos to whoever was involved in those shots because I really liked them.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of beautiful shots. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I did actually, I think I actually rewinded. I said that in a very strong accent. I rewinded. Apologies.
To the American viewers.
Rewinded my Slavic accent. Slavic accent came out, comrade. Anyway, I didn't catch right. I realized it was a really cool shot just as it was ending, so I like flipped like 10 seconds and then just watched it again. It was a good shot. Yeah.
Was it the shot of the dragons? There's some POV shots of dragons that actually looked really cool this episode as well. Where you're kind of following the
Mm.
dragons as they spit fire, and there was multiple. Like that, it was a really great shot. I don't know if that was the one, but
Yeah. No, I mean, there's, if you can say one thing about Game of Thrones and all of these other series, like it always looks great. It's hard to find, I mean, obviously you can, there's been so many episodes at this point. You can, of course, pinpoint some scenes where maybe things were not looking so good, but overall production is just always really top tier. So yeah, but regarding this scene, I mean, again, this is kind of the aftermath. This was meant to be episode 10. So this is again aftermath of the battle. We are dealing with the consequences of it. But we can quickly, I guess, go to the way back to the whale, that scene that we just had on, because that is basically what's happening is Rhaena comes over to the whale, traumatized by what happened at the Gullet, alongside the dragon Sheepstealer. He's off in the background, and she asks, I think, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing properly, but Jane, Erin, she asks, like, can she stay here? She can protect the whale now. This was actually one point that was brought up in season 2. They were promising protection of dragons to the whale in exchange for them declaring for Rhaenyra. And now Rhaena says that she can do it. But at this point, the news of Jace's or Jaehaerys's death, the prince that died at the end of the previous episode, have already actually reached the Vale, and Lady Aaron refuses to accept Rhaena. So she's kind of left to handle herself with Sheepstealer. So I have no idea where this is going to go. It's going to be very interesting to see where this whole plotline will go. Do you have any? Because there isn't much to talk about here, but do you have like a theory what will Rhaena do with Sheepstealer? Like, where are they going next? What's going on?
I doubt it would happen, but I'm just gonna throw it out because it's Game of Thrones. It would be hilarious if she tries to take off with Sheepstealer and he just starts attacking the Vale because he can't control him.
I mean,
No, don't do this.
I mean, it could be.
It could. It could.
So
Could
the thing
happen.
with the Whale is the Whale. It is meant to be the most impenetrable naturally fortified kingdom of all the kingdoms. This is this big thing. Like, it literally has this like narrow passage, and they can like bombard you from the tops, even if you go through the gate. Like, this is it. This is the passage. This is the only way into this kingdom. Or I guess like it's like a realm or whatever, the realm of Whale. Or I don't know if it still counts as a kingdom technically. I guess I guess it is, because they say 7 kingdoms. But anyway, this is the only way to get in, and that was completely useless when Aegon the Conqueror came over with his 2 sisters on dragons, because they're dragons, baby. They fly. They don't care about this passage. so it could be. I don't know. I would not be surprised. It could happen. I don't think it will, but I would not be surprised. I think something more tragic, though this would obviously be a big tragedy as well, to just burn a kingdom. But I do think something more personally worse is waiting for Rhaena, because it's Game of Thrones. She's going to suffer as a character, and it's not. She's not traumatized enough. She basically caused her cousin / brother-in-law to die. But yeah, But though, shout out to the actress. She's been like this shot, her handling and all this, like the trauma, the shock, all of it. Actress just absolutely nailed this scene. She was on screen for like 2 minutes of this
1000%.
episode and just absolutely ate it up. Yeah, good times.
Good times.
But I guess let's go to something. So let's go to Aegon and Larys real quick. That was slightly more comedic, I want to say, in relative terms of funny things happening in Game of Thrones. They were taken prisoners in the previous episode. They were being driven to somewhere where Rhaenyra's followers were, I guess to Dragonstone, and then they get attacked. That convoy that had them gets attacked, and then they managed to flee. And there were a couple of like funny bickering moments, even though for the characters it was very much not funny. They were imprisoned and also in danger of being randomly killed by these people who attack. I mean, I guess it's the forces of the Greens. Anyway, they managed to escape the captivity and just kind of move on, I guess. They kind of had a good disagreement, actually, where they will be going. So I guess that's also kind of to be determined. I think Aegon wanted to go to Sir Criston Cole, because they have an army and he believes they will be loyal to him, which I guess they would. So yeah, I do like this duo. It's a funny one for all the messed up nature of the whole thing. But yeah, another short storyline. I think we're now building up to the 2 big ones. But what did you think of this? Any thoughts here?
We gotta fit in our random tangents. So I don't know why, but the makeup for the actor kind of reminds me of Biff from Back to the Future. Like, I don't know, like.
I'm with you. I see
Okay.
it. I'm with you.
Okay.
There's something going on there.
There's something, yeah. It's like, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but I think it's Biff from Back to the Future is one of the things I'm thinking of. But yeah, it is. I hate to say it, but the look kind of lends itself for comedy, because like now you kind of like feel bad for him, and like he's still like high of himself and in this horrible situation where he's on the run, and now he's kind of free for now. But it would be funny if his storyline is just him continually getting captured. Like he's on his way to whatever, gets captured again. It's just like trying to deal with that for the entire season. But yeah, I think you're right. I feel like something's gonna happen where he gets back to Kristen, right?
Kristen, yeah. So Kristen, yeah.
Like yeah, like I don't because like we have low understanding from the books because we've had exposure through the shows mostly. Like I don't know the significance of his character, but for him to have a lot of screen time, it seems like he still has some part to play in the story. So
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that it might be them getting together again and building up something to start another Game of Thrones. Dare I
Yeah,
say?
I mean, they do have an army there, so they are still fighting. They are, I think they're basically, I think, close to Harrenhal at this point, or somewhere in the area, and I think they're meant to, or they will basically, I think, reunite with Aemond and then push around there because the Blacks have taken King's Landing, which actually takes us to, and that means that Daemon left Harrenhal, which he took over last season, defenseless, which is why now Aemon took over. But this brings us to the two big points that kind of then converge into each other. Alicent is trying to honor her part of the deal. She's going around the King's Landing, around the fortress, the I think it's called the Red Keep. And I know this for a fact, but I'm kind of doubting it because I'm tired. We are 6 minutes away from 2 a.m. Anyway, she's kind of going through with trying to set things up. She's talking to Helena, who is now the acting queen for all intents and purposes. She's trying to get them out with her with Helena's child, while at the same time trying to set up so that soldiers don't fire back at the Rhaenyra when she comes over with her dragons. And also she goes to the head of the Town's Watch, Sir Luthor Largent, commander of the City Watch, and she asks him to surrender the city to Rhaenyra. And yeah, but this gets picked up on by like she's been acting strangely, and there's this nobleman, though I don't want to use this word because, well, in a few seconds I'll get to that. He kind of discovers the plan. His name is Jasper Wilde, and he also decides to assault Alicent. Luckily, Maester Orwell comes into the room. He has some soldiers with him, and Lord Jasper is arrested. And yeah, basically the city is ready. The City Watch will basically declare for the for Rhaenyra when she comes, and also I guess at least some of the soldiers of the Greens will also back off. That they don't obviously all back off, but we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, what do you think of this setup for Rhaenyra's arrival before we get to her side of the story and then her arrival
Yeah,
to the city?
it was interesting to see how it played out. I was because of the Game of Thrones fashion. I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna go horribly wrong and it's gonna subvert our expectations. But it kind of like the transition seemed to have went smooth, right? Like Alicent kind of held up her part of the bargain of, hey, don't attack her. Like, just let her in here. If we let her in peacefully, the city won't be damaged. And Rhaenyra kind of she followed suit with that piece of it, right? Like a bunch of guards died, but sadly it's probably part of their duty to protect the throne.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, at least to start, no innocent people have been like innocent civilians have been tortured or anything like that yet. I guess we'll see what happens in the future. But overall, it was another strong episode. Like getting into, I guess I could transition into it now, right? So, kind of started with them fleeing, right? Convincing them to flee. And then we got to some pretty awesome shots like this for getting to the throne. If we want to get to the major point,
Well, I think we can build up to that because there's a thing. Basically, we kind of want to catch up maybe with Rhaenyra's because she has to do a couple of things at Dragonstone. Yeah, so basically, Alicent and Helena try to sneak out of the city, and then we can now touch upon the fact that what happens at Dragonstone is that the body, Vale, brings Jace's body to Dragonstone, and that's kind of the huge. Well, that's the huge
Yes.
opening also of the. That's the huge opening of the episode in a way where we see, I mean, how to even comment on this for a parent to see something like this, to live. I mean, like it's terrible stuff, but it is Game of Thrones. Yeah. And we learned that the King's Guard will also be given choice to lose his life, let's put it like that, because of the choice he made according to the orders of Prince Jaehaerys. Anyway, Rhaenyra has to deal with this. Daemon arrives. He's very supportive of her. And basically they decide, okay, this is the time. Let's just go. We have the dragon seeds with them as well. They are there to also follow them. So basically Rhaenyra, Daemon, Hugh Hammer, and Ulf all go to King's Landing together. There's 4 dragons. They go there. They kind of take over. They start taking over the keep. And as I said, most of in the courtyard, they don't get a lot of resistance. But actually inside, one of the King's Guard knights and with some of the other soldiers of the Greens gets in their way. But that's when so this is this scene. I'll just take another brief moment here. Again, the armor, it all looks so good, so cool. It looks so extra, but like in a very believable way. It's just amazing stuff. And yeah, anyway, this is a couple moments after this, the city watch comes and led by Lord Luthor, and Lord Luthor says, like, they cross over to Rhaenyra's side, they declare for Rhaenyra, and that's kind of done. That's kind of the takeover has been accomplished. So before we get to the full conclusion of this whole storyline and Rhaenyra sitting on the throne, what do you think of, like, I guess from that moment, from Jace's body being brought to Dragonstone all the way until this scene, let's say, did it feel sensible the way it happened? Like, was it realistic enough? Like, did you believe, like, oh yeah, okay, these guys are kind of okay to stay, to like lower their arms, these guys are kind of not? Like, did this made sense to you? Like, were characters reacting and acting in like a logical way, so to say?
That's a great question. I did feel like, and we're getting into, uh, jumbled brain territory here, but wasn't like the plan originally to get a son for a son? Basically, like Alicent was supposed to provide Rhaenyra with a son.
Aegon, yeah,
Big,
that was
right?
one of the
And
things, yeah.
so that was supposed to happen, but instead what happened was another one of her sons died. So I could see that being like a tipping point for her. So it could have been like, the last straw for her, and just like, screw it. All right, we're doing this. We're taking over. So I feel like a grieving parent in distress and like dealing with like that level of betrayal, like I could see her spiraling into let's take over. In terms of like the dynamics of, I guess, the gold cloaks or whatever, I I don't remember much of the storyline if they had one in previous seasons, unfortunately. So
So
the
I'll just quickly
payoff to
say
me, yeah,
the Daemon was in charge of them at the beginning of season 1.
beginning is okay. So it was like a long payoff, and unfortunately, because I didn't do a rewatch, I didn't connect the dots. So it probably makes sense in it that if Damon was good to them and treated them well, that he would want to support them over what was going on in the uncertainty of the kingdom right now, with kings constantly being changed and stuff. So I could see it;
Yeah.
it's believable. Just unfortunately, I didn't connect the dots. So yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it totally made sense. Like, he was in charge of them for a long time, and he was in charge of this guy, Sir Luthor. So it felt. I think that was pretty well handled. I was really curious if they would be able to pull off to make it feel, that it makes sense that within the world and so on. And I think it overall did. I think maybe this scene, like with that one knight, I forgot his name, but like one of the Kingsguard knights who was leading these the Greens
Is it
soldiers in
Luther?
the throne room. No. So this guy is not this guy, like the other guy who was opposing Rhaenyra. He,
Gotcha.
like, this guy, we can see his back here. I thought maybe a couple more lines or something would have been good, but to hear, I don't know. But still, overall, I think it was pretty well handled. There's a point where we switch scenes to something else, And then we come back and Rhaenyra is in this room. There's actually now a lot of people. They're getting people from the dungeons. They release some of the people from the dungeons who declared for Rhaenyra originally, but then they were obviously thrown into prison. And then we learn that Larys, who is off with Aegon, has left instructions for Otto Hightower to be delivered to Daemon if and when he shows up. And we get this scene. And this is an interesting point because we are now looking into one of the two men whose legacy leads or has led to all of this bloodshed. Rhaenyra's father, King Viserys, and Otto Hightower, who was his hand in season 1. And it was his ambition. He is the one who offered up his daughter. So bear in mind, he is basically the same generation as Viserys. He offered to Viserys his, at that point, like, severely underage daughter, that when she grows up, she will marry his friend, King Viserys, because this was his play. He wanted to get Hightowers higher in the royal tower. I don't know, going for a pun there. But, to get them higher and to get them on the throne. And, for better or worse, he did succeed at least briefly. But this is what led to all this bloodshed, him pushing for this. Or this is one of the key factors, at least, for it. And now we reach this point where the second half of this coin that started this whole ride, he's here on his knees and he gets killed by Rhaenyra, who was convinced by Daemon to do this herself. She's the one. She doesn't do the best job right away. I thought they would actually prolong it, and I was like, please don't. But actually, I think from her second hit, she manages to actually do the deed.
I wonder
And,
if there was
yeah.
poetic justice in that scenario, because technically she stabbed him in the back in the first swing. So I was like, I wonder if there's something to that. Maybe not. Maybe it's just to show sloppiness, but it's like, that's interesting.
I mean, I don't know if it shows sloppiness. I guess it just makes sense. She's not the most skilled fighter with a sword. Like she has had training, but she has never beheaded somebody like this. So I guess it kind of fits. But yeah, she ends up on the throne, and I love the fact that as she's stepping away from Otto's body, you see that she's stepping towards the throne. She's stepping with
Yep.
blood footprints off, like her feet, her steps are, there we go, in bathed in the blood of Otto Hightower, just to go further with the symbolism of what this throne takes away, what it gives you. Yeah, the sacrifice you need to make, the deeds you have to do, the misdeeds you have to do. And this is kind of how we end the episode. Rhaenyra is on the throne, 2 sons and countless lives later.
Dun, 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 dun.
Bam. Yeah, there we go. So, thoughts on this? And I mean, I guess that's kind of it. Like, we are kind of wrapping up here.
Yeah,
Or getting to it, I guess.
this shot is awesome. I love it. I'm curious to see where this goes now because of her grieving and everything. Like they have to kind of tread this delicately, because if they go too far into being irrational, it might mirror what Khaleesi did. So there's pros and cons to that, because right, it's the same family line, so maybe it makes sense that they're behaving similarly. But hopefully they put a different spin on it. And yeah, I'm excited. Like, these are 2 strong episodes for a season that just began. Like, I can't think of many shows that have banger after banger, but we'll have to see how the rest of the season goes, because high expectations now. High expectations. How would you?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the thing, and I guess maybe we can touch upon it a bit more properly now as well. This was supposed to be episode 10. So what happened in season 1, it was a combination of 2 things. There was a strike in Hollywood of the Writers Guild of America that influenced the filming of season 2. And also at the same time, that was in combination with the fact that the CEO of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, I don't know if he's still there. I think he might have stepped away in the meantime, or got fired or whatever. But at the time, certainly, there were massive budget cuts across the TV, across film divisions. And at the same time, the slashed budget that was there for the 2 final episodes compared with the fact that you didn't have the writers there, meant that they were not able to rewrite and reorder the whole thing to make it from a 10-episode seasonal arc to 8 episodes, which then meant that basically episodes 9 and 10 were just not done. The bits of the story that we should have seen then, and that's what we got now. And I guess it's well, let's see if it's for the best. It is certainly a great start to season 3, but yeah, who knows if this will end up being overall a good season, but certainly off to a great start.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. We only just started, I guess. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. Do you have any final thoughts, final comments, or we can kind of wrap this up for now?
I think we're ready to wrap before we start going into tangents, late night tangents. So I'm ready to wrap.
I'm this close.
But I will say, happy to be on this journey for House of the Dragon coverage. Look forward to more coverage of Westeros, Dune Prophecy when that comes out, and all the nerdy IPs inbound. I'm really excited to tackle some of these, and hopefully for the 3 people watching today, just kidding. I hope you guys enjoy it, and definitely. Oh, it's 2. Sorry. With the 2 watching, if you have any suggestions, throw them our way in the comments. Is there anything you want us to cover? Any suggestions to make the conversation more engaging for you? Like, we're here to listen and ramble. So, are you upset by the lack of tangents we had today? Would you like us to fit in some more? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, there might be some other videos that we will do maybe the next couple of weeks, but certainly we will be doing every episode of House of the Dragon. So yeah, if that's something you are still interested in after this 45 minutes of us talking about this episode, tune in, stay there, subscribe, like, share a comment. Given that this is a new channel, every one of those actions actually does really matter, because if 200 people watches this, if we get like every like matters, we're not in the thousands or something yet. So yeah,
help us take Harrenhal. Like and subscribe so we can take over Harrenhal.
I love that you said that, because Harrenhal is actually made to be the biggest thing ever, and it literally is like insanely huge place. So we would need like a lot of, like, I think it was made so that it can be like sieged by 1 million people or something like this. So like it's insanely huge. So the fact, like, I love that. But let's get that. Let's end up with 1 million subscribers. Like half a year from now. I think that's doable. Yeah, ridiculous. We are ridiculous, and this is cool, and it's fun. Anyway, I think this is it for now. Yeah, thanks. Tune in next week, and also there might be some other surprises along the way. Thank you very much, and until the next time, cheers.